Okay, so Master Mason, George Gove coming at you today. So sorry it's been a little sparse coming in the last couple days, having phone issues. We're going to get right into it here. So this is going to tie in with everything. And let me first say, space-time generals of the mill, masons and journeymen on the outside. You got to remember all this stuff. You know. So I did want to have a vague incident report. We had some stuff on the floor. What MG is, what the right answer is in local physics, because it always does that. This is all Euler's number, Jordan's number, Billy's number, Veer's number, Dale's number, and they have a very specific spot, but that doesn't necessarily mean the next thermaler is going to get the job. There's quantum objects like that on the floor, and hopefully you get to do that. Mechanic floats by, it changes the timeline, even if to take it off the torch, because that's the right answer. That would be the physics. And you get to train that stuff. So I had a bunch of rock on the floor the last couple days. Yesterday was a fight for me. Real hard. When you're doing physics wrong, it hurts. Well, you get that battle buddy not knowing your mass gap. Oh, it's your imaginary Murphy's Law. Remember, this isn't just Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. We're talking about Murphy's Law in terms of the rapid deceleration of that rocket. The rocket scientist who actually did this did it for an apprentice. Did that stuff because he kept putting on the sensors upside down, and all of a sudden the spacecraft had all this turbulent flow in there, right? And who's? So you got to remember that. But we had some 12-foot variegated in here. I thought they were blue. We were trying to communicate that answer here on the floor about, who's gonna write on the rock. So it's the first thing. Who's in line with the orders over there? So even if I'm not ready for it, those positions and stations are in your mass gap on that card. We know that's the point. That's that yellow card from the judge. So writing those things down so we can have a better understanding of what goes where, when, and why. If we're lined up with the orders. Because you're not really going to throw a block in unless you have to. There's no more rock on the ground. It's already been decided in some box out there that that's not going to function inside of here. Then this phase oscillator, this quantum object, essentially at that point in time, it became a neutron star, just as a different form. Okay, and I mean form. They have different mass. Each one of these tutorials and how to out of all these places you could go. These are the incident reports. This is skid steer checkups and tool shed, scale house, Guston's overhead. So you could be like, wherever. And if you're over here, all the same operations do this. They're just different numbers. Where's the one I'm looking for specifically? This is a rock. It's essentially a little quantum object. Again, two different scales. Here's Hancock. Here's from a larger region for Binghamton, Homestead, Delhi. But in my local circle, a lot of numbers. Well, that same map is going to be right here in your overhead. Now we could small scale that. We don't have to be out here for these operations. We don't have to have anything. I could put a variegated set in there. I could do this, that, or the other. You could battlefield that thing, simulator time that thing, because at that point in time, this is a simulator. Except for now, this number becomes physics, and if we were using those defined models in there. So anyways, basically, it gets into some of those points, and again, people to people, you have to be real chill about this, especially in the mill. You just listen to the superior. It's easy to get mad, especially somebody like me who uses that number and is trying to do it. But obviously I know that there's other things going on. I've done those positions. I kind of get a feel for it. And when the turns are good, when the proper hit happens, even if he's standing there, I know that that's like right on that edge. You know, it's right on that first cut. And how do I know that? Because every time I heard that saw do something, he was right there, and two teeth hit that thing. Ding, ding. He's got that button. That's that mass gap. You know, somewhere's in here we had that orientation. Set the block, run the saw program, and at certain points, given certain physics, maybe the angle or the geometry of that shifts that FMA quantum object that's follows rotational forces, has quantum standard model. This is at right now 18's the standard model. Anything that would be 12's in there all carry the same thing. They're in that up down spin charm game. Variegated slides through. It's obviously got some ding like it hit the shit instead of metal. And you know, again, people who can do that thing, you know, there's a way to register that metal. Like I said, get in here. You know, you can get mad and upset about those things, but this is a job too. So we're going to start battlefielding that. We're going to write on these things every time as soon as it comes up. If I have to stop operation sometimes in here like I did this morning, hey, I got to call it. You know, that's a safety number in here. If I can't get that in and out of here, eventually something's going to go down. So we lost like 2 hours this morning, 2 or 3 hours, just trying to fight through some stuff, try to mitigate a set and do that. And it's not that that's not a thing. You're going to learn an operation. You just send a regulator down here to kick this shit indoors, and you lose that ability for that person to be able to do that and learn from their mistakes, because all of a sudden now somebody has to run in. You know, over time, there's nothing wrong with it. We understand 55 miles an hour without taking a second glance at it, that it's going to save you from more accidents. And when you do get to look at it, most of the time they're speeders, they have the tickets. You know, something else is going to go with that. We can't discriminate under that model, but you could certainly say, now that physics has begun from here, I have to look at that calculation and as an overall group, begin to make that generalization for that. So again, you know, the IMA team, you know, they can be the worker, stem testing sites, so they can get this. They can be the OSHA MSHA guy doing the whiteboard training. Hey, you got to hit those 5-minute things in the morning. You know, you have to learn. You got to train that guy. Come in here, check the sets to make sure you're grabbing the right rock. You have to make sure that that's coming in there. Write that down so they'll the right order for that come out over there, you know. And you guys get that, you'd be worth it. That's the AU time derivative to save from 2 hours to happen inside of operation. And we just keep making that flip. So basically, that's what we're doing. Again, for the scientists and Sharp's crew out there, again, you're looking for the books to help those numbers. For the guys on the ground that do that, the saltier team out here, hey, the number. You know, you have to remind the chessboard sometimes that this was that physics. There is an adjusted model. So if that number comes up, variegated in there, what are you doing? You're going over there and checking that thing. That becomes the play. That becomes the standard. Those become that number at physics where the gate goes up, gate goes down. Entropy is correct there. Now that it's in its new state, it can be calculated for because the mass is correct and you should get the correct energy out of it instead of just being fired. Catch you on the next one.